Perek Lamed, the 34th chapter of the book of Isaiah, the book of Yeshaya, describes the destruction of Edom, the descendants of Esav, who are described many times in the Tanakh as the enemies of Yehuda, the rivalry between Yaakov and Esav that goes on in the Tanakh. It's going to be described to us again much later in the 63rd chapter of this book and in the book of Yirmiyah and Ovadja and many, many other times. Let's begin. Kirvu goyim. So come close, nations, lishmoa, ule'amim hakshivu, and listen, peoples. Tishma haaretz umloa tevel b'chol tze'atzeha. Let the earth and everybody who's upon it hear. Let the world hear what brings forth. Ki ketzef la'Adonai al kol hagoyim v'chema al kol tziva'am hecherimam nitanam latavach. God is angry at all nations. He's furious at them. And they are doomed. They are consigned to slaughter. That's what's going to happen to them. The chalaleim yushlachu figreim yaleva asham v'namosu harim midamam. They'll be slain. They'll be left lying. Their stench of the corpses will mount. The hills will be drenched with blood. V'namoku kotzva shamayim v'nagolu kesefer hashamayim v'chotzva mibol kinvol ala migefen kinvol at mitena. And there will be smoldering. The heavens will be rolled up like a skull. By here, the heavens, I don't think it really means the heaven. It means the sky, right? The smoke is going to be everywhere, like a leaf withering on a vine or shriveled fruit on a fig tree. For my sword shall be overflowing in the sky. Hine al Edom tereid. And who will that sword, that strong sword, that's sort of looking for blood, who will it fall upon? It will fall upon the Edomites in order to for justice, for judgment. We're in verse 6. Cherev la'Adonai maladam hudashna mechelev midam karim va'atudim mechelev klayot elim ki zevach la'Adonai bebitzra betevach gadol be'eretz Edom. God's sword is full of blood. It's gorged with fat, the blood of lambs and goats and rams. God holds a sacrifice in Botzra, the slaughter of Edom. Botzra was a city, perhaps the capital of Edom, and so a place where maybe their sacrifices were offered to their gods or their idolatry. That's the place where God is having a sacrifice. Sadly, who is being sacrificed are the people of Edom. V'yardu re'emim imam ufarim im abiram v'rivta artsam midam v'afaram mechelev yedushun. Oxen will fall with them, bulls and steers. The land will be drunk with blood. Their soil shall be saturated with fat. Kiyom nakam la'Adonai shnat shilumim l'rivtzion. For it's God's day of retribution, the year of vindication for Zion. So here it's described as this is going to be something that Bnei Yisrael is going to benefit. This is an enemy of theirs. And in other places, we see that very often, Edomites live in the south of the Dead Sea, both sides, both on the western bank and the eastern bank, all the way down to Edom. And we have a lot of battles between Bnei Yisrael and Edom. Perhaps the most gruesome one we have described during the days of Amaziah, one of the kings of Yehuda, where he kills thousands of them. It appears that he throws 10,000 or so off a cliff, overtakes Eilat, then Eilat is once again goes under the control of the Edomites. And so it's a back and forth sort of seesaw, and one is on top and then the next one's on top of brutal battles that we have between Bnei Yisrael and Edom, their rival from the descent of Esav. Chazal, the rabbis, then look at this and they say that this is something that continues forever, with their understanding that Rome is Edom. They say Rome is the descendants of Edom, the descendants of Esav, the sort of this battle that at least Ashkenazi Jewry went through between Christianity and Judaism, with, of course, the Christians being way more numerous. And I guess even some Sephardi Jewry, a significant part in Spain, where it was a big battle between I wouldn't say a battle would be the wrong word, where there was much destruction caused by the Catholics, by the Franciscans and the Dominicans, in the lead up, and obviously during the time of Ferdinand and Isabella. So a lot of this is taken by Chazal from these ideas of Edom. Continuing in verse 9, lezefet v'ofara legofrit v'tartza lezefet bo'era. Its streams will be turned to pitch, its soil to sulfur, its land will be burning, right? It's going to be empty. There's going to be nothing there. It's going to be desolate. Laila v'yomam lo tichber la'olam ya'aleh ashana. Night and day. Right? The fire is going to continue, will never go out. Smokes will rise for all time. Midor lador techarav lenetzach nitzachim ein over bath. For all time, for all ages, it will lie in ruins. Right, for forever, none will traverse it. So it's going to be destroyed forever. I don't know if that's fully happened, but it's interesting, right? We said that it's basically the territory around, not completely, but close to, at least in certain parts near the Dead Sea. And so we have this sort of description, a lot of the same words that are used in the description of the destruction of Sodom v'Amorah, back in Parshat Vayera, where those cities are destroyed by God, even with Avraham's pleading. And so, right, and that's destroyed forever. And that's some of the similar descriptions that we have here for Edom. Now, there's going to be one benefit to this land remaining desolate and destroyed, which is, we know this, we saw this at times with even in COVID, right? When the land becomes desolate, nature and the animals take back what is theirs. Vireshuha ka'at v'kipo v'yanshuf v'orei v'yishgenuva v'nata aleha kav tohu v'avnei vohu. So different types of owls will possess it, and ravens, and right, there's going to be all sorts of animals that are then going to be able to come in because they're not threatened by humans. It's like the Galapagos Islands. Choreha v'ein sham lucha yikra'u v'chol sareha yu afes. There will be a place that it's desolate. It's going to be a place of no kingdom. Ein sham melucha. There's no kingdom. Its nobles and its lord are afes. They're nothing. V'alta armonoteha sirim kimos v'choch b'mivtzareha. Thorns will grow up in its palaces, nettles and briars and its strongholds. Will become a home of jackal, an abode of ostriches, right? So it's a place that nature has taken over. Think of any sort of, apocalyptic show or movie where, they go back to a place, they go back into New York City or Chicago or wherever it is. And all of a sudden, right, half the buildings are destroyed, and then there's ivy and growing on all the buildings and the wild animals running through. That is the image. I don't know if all of those producers and directors took it from Isaiah chapter 34, but that is the image that's being given here. And it continues. Fagshu tziyim et iyim v'sa'ir al re'ehu yikra achsham hirgia lilit umatza lamanoach. Wildcats will meet hyenas. Goats and demons will greet each other. There too, Lilith will live and find herself a resting place. Lilith, right? This midrashic sort of idea of Lilith, this sort of secondary wife of Adam that represents sort of the evil side. Lilith magazine, it's not clear exactly what it means here. Is it referring to some sort of demonic figure because it's a place of destruction? I can tell you that I really know. Shama kinenach hipos v'tamleitu v'ka v'dagra v'tzila achsham nikbetsu dayot isha reuta. There the snake will nest and lay eggs, and they'll hatch in its shade, and buzzards will gather one another. I just had a funny thought that maybe Lilith means like a zombie. Maybe this is a preview of all of the zombie TV shows and movies of the last number of years. Dirshu al sefer Adonai ukrua hat mehena lo ne'adari isharu ta lo pakadu kifihu tzivav rahu v'rucho hu kivtzad. Search out and read it in the scroll of God. No one will be absent. No one will miss it, for God's mouth has spoken, right? Everybody will see it. God's Spirit has assembled them, right? If you look into the words of God, you'll understand that destruction can happen from God, right? Rashi here goes back to the time of the Mabul, that right then man was given the right to eat animals, and now finally the animals are coming back, or like I said, going back to stone, or you can look at it from all sorts of places where God decrees destruction to enemies of Israel in those books. V'hu hipil lahen goral in verse 17. V'yado chilkatam lahem bakav arolam yirashua l'dor v'dor yishkid. One who was apportioned it to them by Lot, whose hand divided it with a line, they will possess it for all time. They will dwell there for all ages. And who is it referring to? Presumably, it's referring to the animals and nature, which has taken over this portion. This is now going to be their goral. It's going to be their lot. And there's an ironic sort of word that's being used here. The word goral, which means a lottery, is a word that's used back in the Sefer Yoshua a lot, because that's the lottery was done to hand out territories to the different nations. The first goral went to Yehuda, and then to this family in Yehuda, and that family, and this family. So here the goral, the sort of the lots that were given from God to the Jewish people to give them Israel, that same word, that lot, has been taken away from the Edomites, seemingly their lot. Back in the book of Breshit, we're told that Esav went to Har Seir. Esav went from Israel, from Hebron, from Canaan, from the places where his grandfather and his father and his brother lived. He left to go to these other places, which became his places. Now that lot has been removed, has been taken away from him. That go around. Just finish up with this interesting one. I don't know. I saw somewhere that the word goral, which means a lot, it originally was some sort of a rock that described a lot. It became it became a word that eventually, through the Greek, is probably the root word of the word for coral, like coral reef, a similar sort of goral, a lot, a stone, because it was some sort of a stone that was used. It was some sort of and I can't remember exactly what kind of stone, but somehow through the Greek, goral got changed to a k from a g, and it became eventually the word coral, and perhaps other words related to it, referring to land. I guess coral is not land, or vegetation, or plots, or lots, etc., etc. So that's this chapter, the destruction of Edom. And as we said, it will be something that will continue throughout time, according to the rabbis, and we will see many more prophecies about the hatred between Israel and Edom, and much descriptions of the destruction of Edom many more times as we continue in our journey through the Tanakh.